guys, this is Rob Jan Webb from Waxyless Music, and what I'm going to start doing is this is the first in a new series of classic vinyl reviews. Basically, before the internet existed and before I did tutorials and released under the Rob Jan Webb name, I used to be one of the resident DJs at a very successful club in the East Midlands in the UK called Progress. Now, from 1993 to 2002, I worked for them, and during that time I saw many different fads come and go, many different musical genres, many different styles, and I was there through all of them. What I thought I would do is I thought I would review some of the classic records that mean something to me and that were a part of the house music fabric from over the last 30 years or so. So what I'm going to do in this video today, I'm going to review 5 classic disco house records from my days of working in those clubs and from my days of working in a record shop also. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to review 5, and then at the bottom of the video, they're going to be the links for the videos for you to go and watch. And then obviously if you want to go and buy them yourself, and if you like the tracks, go off and check them out. Obviously I can't play them due to copyright, so I'm just going to do quick reviews on them and then leave it up to you to go and explore. Okay, so first record that I'm going to review is Ian Pooley and Roller Skate Disco on Definitive Records. I think 94, 95 it came out. Can't quite remember. And it's a Canadian sort of label. Quite a lot of techno sort of stuff came out on that, like acid housey stuff. And this track, Ian Pooley, Roller Skate Disco, is a brilliant little. It's got the sample of a track off an old Prelude disco record label called a guy called Rod, who used a track called Shake It Up, Do the Boogaloo. And he takes that sample loop from that and he puts it over a little like funky acid house sort of 303 riff, and has these little scatty little beats that go over it. But it's one of them great little disco house records that crosses techno with disco. And on the flip side is another track called The Britain Cop at 7 AM, which is a real dream house sort of acid affair, which is a really nice piece of music that you should check out anyway. But the main track is the Roller Skate Disco. So go and check that out, Ian Pooley, Roller Skate Disco. That's record number 1. And record number 2 is a remix of Delight and Bring Me Your Love. This was done by Jonny Vicious, who at the time around 94, 95 was a bit of a hero of mine. And it came out on white vinyl on a US import. There was other mixes on there as well, but this version by Jonny Vicious was a real like raw disco track and a real bendy bass line. It was really, really throbbed. And halfway through, the track goes off into hip hop. It breaks down and drops into a hip hop beat, and then comes back in with these real nasty stabs, and then back into the full disco house thing. But this was one of those techniques at that time which was quite popular. You had Mark Archer from Alternate, who went on to become Slow Motion, and he did a track called Bells of New York, where that built up into this big house track and then dropped hip hop and then back again. And this it's the same technique is employed on this. So yeah, Jonny Vicious, the remixes of Delight, Bring Me Your Love on East Electro Records, Warner Brothers, I think. So that's that one. Next up is a real belter of a track which came out in 95 on Forsync Records, Germany, and that was DJ Tonka and his track Flashback. This comprised of 2 samples. The first one was the vocal off Madonna's Vogue, where he takes the hook from that. And then he takes the sample from a track called For Those Who Like to Groove, which was by Ray Parker Jr. and his band Radio. It's a real fat bassline sort of track with the beats are really fat and chunky, the sort of thing that Todd Terry would have used during that period, perhaps. And yeah, the whole record it just kicks from start to finish. There's no rest with this one. Absolutely brilliant record. So that's DJ Tonka Flashback, a disco house classic. Next up is a very famous label and one half of Daft Punk, and it's the Ruled Roulette Records, Alan Brake's Vertigo, with the Thomas Bangalter, who is obviously half of Daft Punk. This was his label and his offshoot, and everything that this label released during that time was just dynamite. It was just perfect, and as soon as you picked this up in the record shop, you knew that it was going to be a good track. And this track is a real, the Thomas Bangalter remix is a real unforgiving, high-pitched, nasty disco assault. It really has got a lot of aggression to it, and it really, when it drops, it builds up and it drops, it just takes you all the way there. So there was also a remix of this which came out at the same time, a bootleg, where somebody took this track and put the Beastie Boys Intergalactic a cappella on top, and that was well received at the time. I remember having a copy of that. But this, obviously, the original, the instrumental, is pure disco nastiness, if you like that kind of thing, which I did and do. And the final record of my review today is and the record that properly got me into disco house. It came out in '93 when I was just about nearly 17 years of age, 16, 17, and I just started working in a record shop and in clubs. And this came along and it absolutely blew my mind. It completely tore me a new one. And this was Todd Terry Unreleased Project Volume 4, the track Jumpin'. It's a 5-track EP and came out on an American import for it cost like £7.49, which was a lot of money for a record. You know, it was, but I had to have it. You know, it was one of those imports you just had to have. And the Todd Terry track Jumpin' was the sample of Music's track Keep On Jumpin' on Prelude Records, which was Patrick Adams, and I never heard of the guy before. And then buying this led me off into buying Patrick Adams records and all the P&P stuff, and it got me involved in collecting original disco recordings after that. So this record does have a lot to say for my musical journey, but it also has a loop on there which was from the track Bostitch by Yellow, which is like a kind of early 80s post-disco sort of underground hit, which is the main loop throughout the track, and then it uses the stabs from the original Music record. But yeah, the beat's really chunky, and at the time this was actually a really solid track. It was a heavy track. You listen to it now, it still has that heaviness, of course, but at the time it was a real brute of a track. So that was the ultimate record for me, Todd Terry Jumpin' on the Unreleased Project Part 4. So that's it really for this one. I hope to do some more videos with some more disco house tracks and more funky tracks from over the years. So thanks for watching, and I will see you soon. Cheers.